Hello, I'm Dr. Owen Barden. I'm a lecturer in disability and education at Liverpool Hope University. I'm going to be talking about using social media in teaching and learning. So for a lot of pupils, a lot of young people, using social media is part of their everyday lives. It's habitual to them, even if it isn't for some teachers. So maybe a sense here of a return to the literal meaning of pedagogue. So pedagogue, it comes from the Latin to walk with. And I think social media give teachers an opportunity to walk with their students as they learn about a topic through using social media. Another key thing that social media can help students develop is what we call critical digital literacy. So this is the kind of literacy skills that pupils are going to need now and in the near future. And they're a way of thinking about how we manage or deal or cope with the sheer volume of information that we get through things like the internet and our phones and what have you. So critical digital literacy has three components, which are multiliteracies, discernment and responsibility. So multiliteracy means being able to work confidently and competently across different kinds of text. So whether that's, for instance, a web-based text, whether it's a media text like a video, or a traditional printed text. We all these days have to deal with and work across all these different kinds of texts, and multiliteracies means multiple forms of literacy for different kinds of text. Related to that is discernment, and that's your ability to judge the quality of the information you're looking at, the quality of a text, and also how it relates to the other information that you know. Thirdly, responsibility. So when faced with an overwhelming amount of information in a network, we've all got to decide, what information to share, what not to share. Responsibility in managing your own networks is the third component of critical digital literacy, and social media can have a role in developing all three of those components of critical digital literacy in pupils. If part of education is going to be to prepare students for adult life and for working, then using social media is a really good way of getting students working in networks, understanding how networks work, collaborating and sharing with each other, and managing those relationships. So we know that a lot of children, a lot of pupils are kind of habitual technology users, and something that teachers can worry about is the homeschool divide, the difference between how kids use technology in their own homes or outside of school and how they're expected to use it in school. Now what we know is that social media is very motivating for a lot of pupils, a lot of children, and so bringing that motivation into the school through exploiting social media in teaching and learning is one way, I think, of keying into that motivation to learn with and from each other. Social media with your students is potentially a way of enhancing your relationships with them, because I know a lot of the talk in sort of teacher education and in continuing professional development for teachers is around strategies, for this kind of pupil or that topic, and people often forget that at its heart, good teaching is all about the relationship that you have with your students. So building that community of learners through social media is I think, a way of extending and enhancing your relationships with your students. So an example of that I've seen in my classroom was a group of my students who were doing research into dyslexia, and what we did was create a Facebook page for that group of students, which they used to post links to various bits of research, as well as kind of videos and things all about dyslexia. So there were some instances where I was teaching them and others where they were teaching me. So I think social media can have a role in developing not only skills that the students find useful for themselves, but the kinds of transferable skills that will be useful to them as they're looking for employment later on.